Welcome to Candid Catholic Convos, a program brought to you by the Catholic Diocese of Harrisburg. Our mission is to humanize the Church and help you to grow in your faith, love, and understanding. I'm your host, Rachel Trochet, a cradle Catholic who's only human and struggled with faith on more than one occasion. Each week, you'll hear engaging, down-to-earth interviews and actionable strategies you can implement into your life with ease to help you grow closer to God. If you're ready to open your heart and step fully into the person God created you to be, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Candid Catholic Convos. In the world of radio, it's rare you ever see the face behind the voice. And unless you follow our social media pages, which you should, you'd never know very much about me or what I look like if I didn't tell you. Hi, I'm Rachel, a white woman with Italian, Irish, and Norwegian roots. My hair is brown, I'm average height, and lately I've been wearing my glasses a lot more, like I probably should be. I met my husband in college in Philadelphia. He's a Puerto Rican man with dark hair and a rich complexion. Our 3 boys are beautiful. They're what a casting director would call racially ambiguous, because they can pass for both Hispanic and Caucasian, as well as several other nationalities. I had never been exposed to Puerto Rican culture or style or music or anything before meeting my husband. And for the last decade that we've been married, I've been absolutely immersed in it. It's vibrant, romantic, and flavorful, just like my heritage that I've embraced my entire life. And I can't wait to shower my kids in theirs and show them all the things that make them uniquely them. And that's the beauty of how God created us. We're each different, fearfully and wonderfully made, with a purpose that's specific to us. But sometimes it's difficult to recognize and appreciate our differences for what they are. Again, I'd never been exposed to a culture other than my own for decades, and I had no idea what I was missing. The reality is, we're all a lot more alike than you'd think. Today, I'm joined by Deacon Armando Torres, our Director for Cultural Identity and Outreach, to talk about all the different apostolates, as well as our new outreach programs to serve all the people of our diverse and vibrant diocese. Deacon Armando, thank you so much for joining me on Candid Catholic Convos. I'm really excited to have you here for the first time today. This is our first time getting to sit down and really kind of dive into some deep topics. So thank you for taking the time to spend with me today.
No, you're welcome. I'm happy to be here deep down inside. But no, I appreciate the time. Hopefully get to share some of my thoughts and experiences, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. So for those who may not know you, because I know you're fairly new to the diocese, about a year or 2 years now?
Yes, I came to the diocese in January 3rd, 2023. Mm-hmm. So I'm new to the office here, the Director of Culture, Identity, and Outreach. But I feel like I've been here like forever, because I was with San Juan Bautista, one of the parishes here in the diocese, since about 2012. So I was always had a hand in communication with the diocese. Mm-hmm. So even though I've been here a year, it's been quite a few years that I've been involved with different ministries, different activities, different events that have happened, as a whole.
Oh, that's awesome. So some of our listeners might recognize you from your other roles, like at San Juan Bautista and all the other parish involvement that you may have had. Can you expand on that a little bit? Tell me a little bit more about you.
Okay. So Deacon Armando Torres, right, and married, 37 years, going on 37 years this July. 3 children. Unfortunately, one lives out on the West Coast, so we missed him a lot. 6 grandkids, with another one on the way here in about 4 weeks. 3 children, 6 grandkids. Live in Lancaster all my life. I was born in New York, but raised in Lancaster, and was in the served in the military for 4 years in the Air Force. And just lived in Lancaster. Came back to live in Lancaster my whole life. My wife calls it the 5-year plan. When my term was up, my enlistment was up, she wanted to move to San Diego. So I can't blame her. That's where her hometown is. And I said, well, let's move to Lancaster. I said, we'll start off there. She goes, well, maybe for 5 years. Well, it's been 30 30, 5 years or so now. But it's gone great. We just got involved with the church. We feel we've been at the right place. My wife feels we've been at the right place. So together, we do plenty, at our parish, and our kids went through Catholic schools. Our grandkids are in Catholic schools. So, it's just important for us. And the community, Lancaster is like big enough, but small as well. So it's going very well.
I love that. Talk to me a little bit more about your role within the diocese and how you kind of came to this type of ministry. You mentioned you have military experience. When did you become a deacon? How did all that kind of pan out for you?
Yeah, so that's like people call it the $1 million question, because if you ask my wife goes, I don't know what happened to him, but church has always been important for us in our family. Granted, it's a progress in formation, and it evolves. Even as a deacon, I was ordained in 2020, but you have to understand it always evolves. Mm-hmm. It's never stagnant. So looking back, as a dad, and growing in my faith and more committed to my faith, being present at Mass, making sure it was important for my kids to see that I was going. And it wasn't even thinking, I was never really thought, well, let me go so my kids see that it's important. It's just that as I grew into faith, the kids automatically sees it. So then you see the role of the dad, the role of the family. It was important for them to see that I was the initiator of getting ready for Mass, the initiator of being involved with the religious education. So it just grew, formation. I call it, one of the things I got involved with our religious education, which was very, I think that was about 2003. About 2003, I got involved with the RCIA program at San Juan Bautista. And that was like a springboard. I think it was like my faith was growing, and then there was a springboard. Mm-hmm. And then actually I was coming here to the Diocesan Center for classes that Ryan Bolster from Education used to hold, the Diocesan Institute. We used to have that present here at the center. And just to hear other stories and hear other people and their conversion, whether conversion from another faith or their joy when they were talking about the faith. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I was born, I was cradle Catholic, what we call cradle Catholic. And I'm like, I'm missing something, because where's that? Where's my little giddy up? And so anyway, I just kept with these classes and learning more about the faith. And then I call my conversion from a cradle Catholic, or just, basic, going to Mass and going home, going to Mass, that to more active. So my conversion from, basic Catholic to active Catholic.
Catholic 2.0.
Catholic 2.0. I guess that's what it is. So that's my, So within that growth and information, because there's soft formation and taking these classes and then being involved with the parish and being involved with the religious ed and with the RCIA and that whole process, and and work, because I was working at Wild Bill's Foods. I was actually working in a meat company in production, as a production manager and supervisor. But the people part is always the appealing part to me. It always was, even whether I was in the military, whether I was as a supervisor, as a production manager. The people part is always what draws you in, and people kind of open up to you. When you're a production manager at a company, people want more than to know what they're supposed to do. They want you to listen to them in a variety of topics. It kind of surprises you, but people do want that relationship. So I call my midlife crisis, talking to my pastor back at San Juan Bautista, the opening for religious ed, director of religious ed, opened up. And, we had a conversation. My pastor and I had a conversation. And, I received the role as director of religious ed. This was in about 2012, probably 2011, 2012. And it just kept growing. It was just like, that's where I needed to be, got deep into it. My wife was a big part of that, because, without a team, we really couldn't do it. And, but we managed it, and it just kept growing in 2015. As a matter of fact, being director of religious ed at San Juan Bautista, and then was the director of religious ed at St. Joseph's as well. So then I was director of religious ed for two parishes, one Hispanic, one with a German culture, deep, and both very supportive of helping me in the ministry and serving the parishioners and serving the families and the students. 2015 to 2020, I was in the diaconate formation, and it just evolves. It's about keeping your heart open and then see where it takes you.
Absolutely. I am also a cradle Catholic, but I had what I would call, I guess you would call it like a reversion, because I kind of like walked away for several years and then kind of slowly made my way back. But like, it's easy to say I trust in what God's plan is, but like when you can't see the plan, you're like, all right, so what's going on? And it's so funny that when you kind of when you allow yourself to be open to whatever possibilities could happen, like all of a sudden you look back in retrospect and you're like, oh, I see what he was doing there.
Right.
Like he absolutely had a plan for you. And I love that he's given that gift of being able to talk to people. You've been able to use that in literally every aspect of your life so far. And now you're using it for cultural outreach and identity, which is really awesome. And I'm excited to talk to you about this and have you as part of this team. But I'm assuming that it comes with like a lot of challenges, but also a lot of rewards, because it's not just one culture or identity that we're working with. Our Catholic community here in the Diocese of Harrisburg is very vibrant, but it's also very diverse. Can you talk to me a little bit about any challenges that you've seen, but then also the rewards that come with it?
I can't really say I feel a challenge. Mm-hmm. Because I think we all have the part of challenges, communication. So communication, I think that's just in general, not specific to one avenue or another.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I make myself clear, but the communication aspect of the challenges is if we start with the Hispanic culture, there are many things that our Hispanic culture has done in the ministry here at the diocese. I think the challenge is bringing the awareness to what they are, or bringing the awareness. Do we know that this is happening? Do we know that there are different celebrations within a culture? But also the challenge of letting everyone know in the diocese that it's been a process for everyone. If you go back as far as immigration and our population growth and the challenges of, the initial, wave of immigrants, whether the Irish, the German, the Italians, the Eastern, Europeans, the Croatians. It's the challenge. So we look at the challenges is I don't know. I don't even want to use the word being accepted. It's just the awareness. Hey, do we know we're here? Mm. Do you know that we have a little different needs? I'd see that as the challenge, if we want to use it as a challenge.
No, I think that's fair to say, because it's I hate the misconception that like the Catholic Church is just a bunch of old white men, right? When in fact there's Vietnamese, there's Hispanic, there's Croatian and Irish and Italian, and they all have these beautiful, vibrant ways of celebrating the Mass in their own, or not even just the Mass, but the faith in their own way that makes it special and unique. Like there's certain celebrations in Hispanic culture that I didn't know about. After college, I lived in Norristown, which is Philadelphia Diocese. And it's a very heavily Hispanic neighborhood. And I had no idea that the celebration of Our Lady of Guadalupe was such a big deal. Like there was a parade outside my house with people decorating their cars, and it was so beautiful and amazing, but I had no idea what was going on. And I'm like, I should know this. I'm Catholic, and it turns out that that's what it was. Or when we got married, there was a quinceañera right before our wedding. And I was like, how did I not know that these existed when in fact it's been going on for forever? And I think it's beautiful, and that I think that's fair to say that I think it's just getting the word out there that we all have this unique and beautiful way of celebrating the faith.
Yeah, if you want to use going with the word challenge, we speak about being the Guadalupe. And then the other thing is grouping one Hispanic, quote unquote, as one culture.
Yes.
When even within the Hispanic culture, there's a huge variety of cultures, because you have your Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, Salvadorians, Guatemalans, Mexicans, Colombians, Peruvians, Chileans. I mean, there's so many. So the challenge, sometimes we look at the challenges as the church, maybe the hierarchy of the church, especially here in the United States, understanding the Hispanic culture. But even within the Hispanic culture, there's challenges because, Puerto Ricans might understand the Chilean, Catholic celebrations, and this country doesn't understand the other country's celebrations, or doesn't take it as serious, or doesn't think so.
Or even just the nuances in the language, like
the language, the music.
Things,
some of the music is different, but you talk about the celebrations of Virgen Guadalupe, and then Puerto Rico's the Virgen de Providencia in November, which is highly celebrated. Now you might see that more like in New York City and Philly and New Jersey, and some of the parishes here in the Diocese of Harrisburg celebrate it. It's just not known,
right?
Because the one we know is Our Lady of Guadalupe. But even this past weekend, it was awesome. We were at, and I know it wasn't just at St. Mary's of York, because I know San Juan Bautista had a huge celebration with Virgen de Altagracia, with the Dominicans, patron mother, mother of Virgen de Altagracia, and I'm sure other parishes probably had huge celebrations as well. We had a huge celebration at St. Mary's of York, and the joy in the people's faces that Bishop Senior was present, that we were present, that a big deal was made out of it. And it wasn't so much, and the thing with that is, it's not that a big deal was made out of it. It was that awareness was made out of it.
Right.
Hey, do we know that this is going on at St. Mary's of York this weekend? Oh, let me see. Let's go and see what this is about. So the awareness is the challenge. And 15 counties, 88 parishes, so it is a challenge to bring the awareness to all that's going on, not just in Hispanic culture, but I talk about St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's in Lancaster. They have their German Fest, they have their German culture, and they celebrate, different masses as well. It's just bringing awareness to that.
Absolutely. So I want to address the elephant in the room, which is racism, because especially when it comes to our brothers and sisters who may look different than us, or even those of different nationalities. My husband is Hispanic, and he's told me that he feels like unless he's wearing his military attire, that he feels out of place in Central PA, especially where we live, because there aren't very many who look or sound like him. And I was taught that racism goes against everything I know as a Catholic, that all human beings are made in God's image and likeness, but not everyone might be aware of that, or it also doesn't necessarily alleviate my husband or my neighbor's uncomfortable feelings of alienation or discrimination. So my question is twofold. Is this something that you've encountered in your ministry of addressing that outsider feeling? And how can those of us who haven't experienced that feeling of alienation walk with those who do?
So being Puerto Rican, I've had my challenges as well, even in the faith, especially growing up in the schools, even the Catholic schools can be challenging. I mean, I've learned of being prejudiced, in the schools, which totally surprised me. You don't get it in elementary school, but then I did experience it later on. At that point, I wasn't thinking, well, this is a Catholic school, I shouldn't feel that. I didn't think that at all, because even in my elementary school, if you want to talk about bullying, I was bullying by different races, and that was just the case, from. So I've experienced that. But racism to me it's a really harsh word. It's like a hate word. I think we tend to favor our own, not in a negative way towards others, as much as we just,
aim for that community.
Aim for the community. So Anglos aim for the Anglo community. The Italians, Germans, you go to that community. Hispanics are going to tend to go to that community. African Americans are going to tend to their community. So not anything against the other race, just a pull to their own. Okay. Don't, races being, that's a hate word to me. That's a hate word. That's just a tough word to use.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're entering into Black Catholic Month here, Black History Month here in February. And recently, I was hearing stories about Augustus Tolton. And Augustus Tolton, Venerable Augustus Tolton, hopefully be into sainthood. Pope Francis assigned him as venerable, I think in 2019. He was born into slavery, was freed as a slave, wanted to go to seminary for the priesthood. No seminaries would take him in the United States. That's racism. That's tough. He went to Rome, to the seminary in Rome, became a priest, was ordained a priest in Rome at the age of 31. And he was hoping to go to Africa, as a missionary and all that. Well, he was sent to New York City, was there for like a year. And where did he get sent back to? Well, he got sent back to the hometown where he was a slave at. Not accepted very well. Yes, you can minister, Father Tolton, if he was, Father Tolton, to the Black community. First African American president. Yes, you can minister to the Black community. Goes to Illinois. Yeah, you can minister to the Black community. Now, he was a great preacher, and people will go to him, both of all races, Anglos, African Americans. That's the tough thing. If you're limited to who you can minister to, that's racist. I've had the privilege as Hispanic to be a director of religious ed at a Hispanic parish and German parish, and went well, very supportive, and that's, I think the limitations of who people can preach to, it's kind of sad, if it happens out there, it may, or that would be the may happen still, or our population is growing, both the Hispanic population is growing, the African immigrant, the Swahili part of the language, that part's growing. So the challenging part is, who can people minister to? And when we limit on who can minister to who, then everyone's losing out. And that includes, like right now, come February 11th, we're celebrating the Black Catholic Apostolate Mass at St. Joseph's of York, Kingston Road. Father Saad's the pastor there. And it's a beautiful event. We were there last year, and people got to see, the parishioners got to see, a different type of celebration. And they loved it. If would they have gone on their own? I don't know. If we said, hey, we're going to have that Mass for the Black Catholic Apostolate on a Sunday evening or Saturday morning, off time of regular parish, will people be exposed to it? And I think that the challenge for people to understand the different cultures, the different celebrations, and the challenges of ministering is just that exposure to even see what it is. And I think as long as if we limit ourselves, then we're missing out, because then you just have misconceptions. I was blessed. I go back to being director of religious ed at St. Joseph's in San Juan. I was blessed. I would go to St. Joseph's and hear the beautiful choir. European, Gregorian, the chanting, beautiful. I love that. And then an hour later, I'm at San Juan Bautista, and now we have the guitars and the bongos and the weedles, and we have all the, the cowbell, if you want to put the cowbell in there. We have all that. And you get to celebrate it all. It's not limited. Our Catholic culture is we always say it. One, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. And I just think we just need to live that part of the one and the holy and the apostolic. Is like, from the roots of the apostles, one church, all cultures, all cultures. I love going to the Black Catholic Apostolate Mass and living that culture. I love going to, the Gregorian chant. I love that. we were just this, like I mentioned previously, we were this Sunday Virgen de Altagracia for the Dominican, St. Mary's for the Virgen Altagracia mass celebration. And I love the music. It's a different vibe. Not one community supersedes any other community. And I think people just need to experience it all. Not that I'm going to do it every week, or not that you're committing to, that, well, I'm going to change my ways. I'm just going to go to Hispanic Mass and I'm not going to any other Mass. Not that. Just well, let me see what it's about. Let me see. It's going to be uncomfortable? It may be. But you're going to see the prayers, the collect is the same. The Gloria is the same. The Holy is the same. And most importantly, the Eucharist is one. So I just think it's just the challenge is to get people just go and just experience it, because you're not going to miss out. Why? Because it all comes back down to the body of Christ. You're not going to miss out.
I love that, and that's actually like a good call, especially for those who maybe, I hate to say bored with whatever Mass they're going to, but if you want something different, then there are other options, like the Black Catholic Apostolate Mass, or Hispanic churches or German churches, or you're not limited to the same church over and over again if you're not finding fulfillment there. So I think that's awesome.
The initiative of the church as far as the culture, and outreach. But if we talk, sticking with the culture, like I mentioned before, we're a country of immigrants, and the church always is here to serve who? Well, the people. So as the people come, the church adapts.
We've unfortunately run out of time, but if you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, you can listen to us anytime on Spotify under Candid Catholic Convos, or you can download this episode from our website at hbgdiocese.org. Thank you so much for listening. Our goal at the Diocese of Harrisburg is to walk with you on your faith journey. So if this episode resonated with you in any way, the easiest way to show your appreciation is by sharing this program with your network, or by leaving a review on your listening platform. You can also support us financially by making a donation online at hbgdiocese.org/DAC and clicking the Make a Donation button. Thanks again, and we'll see you at church on Sunday.